So it has happened yet again. Another reported tanker strike in the Strait of Hormuz. We think two have been struck. It might be more, but we'll hang on to two for the moment. A tanker struck by an unknown projectile trying to transit the Strait of Hormuz. Apparently another one made a U-turn and turned around. No casualties reported. Vessels are being advised to transit with caution. Meanwhile, from Fox Business, they've obtained audio of an Iranian threatening the ships in the strait, and here is how that sounded in English.
This is the last warning. This is last warning. This is last warning. You are running danger. Don't put your life in danger. You are ordered to alter course. Support us immediately. Alter course. Support us immediately and use the south of Rebeccah Heinrichs to exit. If you disobey, you will be targeted. This is the Navy out.
Okay, Rebeccah Heinrichs now, Senior Fellow, Hudson Institute. Rebeccah, good morning to you. A lot to get to in the next 4 minutes here, okay? The Rock Island is that island that is in the Strait of Hormuz, right there at that choke point that is operated by Iran. What do you make of this development, and does it pull the president back into military action?
I think that's the direction that we're headed, Bill. Now, remember, the Iranians never had the same understanding as the United States with the MOU on the particular point about who manages the Strait of Hormuz. The Iranians insist that they will manage it, and so they are trying to compel these ships to go through the corridor that's closest to Iran. But ships want to get through the strait safely. They're going through the corridor along Oman that the United States is essentially guaranteeing security with our Navy. So the IRGC continues to threaten ships that are not abiding by its way and then are shooting at them. In the recent past, President Trump has responded by retaliating. Right now, we've got something of a break in our retaliation because of this funeral for the supreme leader that's going on inside Iran. That's why we have a break in talks. But I do think that President Trump will, once that's over, get back to, again, enforcing peaceful transit through the strait, and that means military activity.
Okay, it just appears to me, Rebeccah, Iran doesn't want this conflict to go away. They want to keep the U.S. engaged here and involved. And there's a reason for that, right? I mean, they don't want peace. No, and Bill, they think that by pushing the United States again over this battle over the Strait of Hormuz, that it can assert itself and still maintain influence over what's going to happen over the next coming years. Iran still believes that it can solidify control over 20% of global energy through the Strait of Hormuz. The other dimension here, Bill, to keep in mind, the Chinese have backed the Iranians' assertion that they get to manage the strait and toll ships that go through it. So there's this larger geopolitical dimension. The United States cannot permit the Strait of Hormuz to become an Iranian and Chinese-controlled choke point. That's the point. China's helping them. And it's going to be a tough row. We'll see what the president decides next. Meanwhile, he was talking about the European allies not helping with Iran. Says he wanted their loyalty, did not need their help. Here's what he said in Ankara about an hour ago.
We weren't treated well because we did something in Iran. We don't need anybody's help. I didn't even want their help. I was testing to see whether or not they'd be there, because I've long said that we help them, but I'm not sure that they'd be there for us. Why are we spending hundreds of billions of dollars and they're not there for us? We've always been there for them.
Okay, I'm not quite sure what we're going to get from this summit, but there's a lot of moving parts here. The possibility that we sell F-35 jets to Turkey, something that Benjamin Netanyahu came on Fox yesterday and said he did not want. In the meantime, we want the president to up the spending on behalf of European partners. That Ukrainian war is 4.5 years old. Here is the Trump trillion chart that was shown in the Oval Office by the NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte last month. How do you see what comes of this, Rebeccah? Does Turkey get what it wants? Does the president get what he wants? What happens when they break bread in Turkey?
Well, I think that President Trump has gotten in large part what he wants. Really, this started back in Trump 1 when President Trump started saying European allies have to do more on defense and they have to fix their energy crisis so that they stop relying on Russian energy. Both of those things have made enormous progress. Over $1 trillion of defense now that European allies and Canada have invested over the last decade. And just during President Trump's year, this year, his second term, there has been a dramatic increase, 20% increase in defense on the part of European
European allies. So I think President Trump can take great credit for that because we need to secure Europe for all the other problems the United States faces. With Turkey, remember, Turkey has a foot in both worlds. It's a NATO ally, and Turkey was indispensable for the United States and NATO to open the Black Sea when Russia was threatening to blockade it with its war against Ukraine. So we need it in Europe, but we also need to make sure that Israel is safe and secure, which means Israel has to maintain the qualitative technical military edge. And so that's what I'm concerned about with the F-35. If we can solve that problem so that Israel is comfortable, I think that that's probably going to go through.
A lot of lines intersecting here on this summit. Rebeccah Heinrichs, thanks for taking us through it today. We'll talk very soon this week. Thank you.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.